you may need this, you may need to know this for your next EX200 exam. So if you're taking the exam anytime soon, this may be something you will need to know. So at the current time, they don't include this in the exam objectives, and even the RHEL 10 objectives don't even speak about containers. But if you are taking the RH9 version of the exam, they are making some crazy moves. This is something you need to know, which is how to build a container based on the Docker file. Okay, so let me show you how can you build a container based on with using a Docker file. This may pop up soon in our EX200 exam if based on RHEL 9, and even based in RHEL 10, it may also be something that may pop. So let me share this with you guys. Let me show how to build a container using a Docker file. So basically, you just just create a directory, any directory really, and this directory will just create a directory, okay, just a fresh one. Then you create a Docker file there. It doesn't have to be called Docker file. There are other names that can be assigned to this, but a Docker file is something it's very common to me, so I'm very used to use the Docker file name. So I'm going to continue to use this Docker file name, and this is an example Docker file. Okay, so basically this is one of the many ways you can use to build new containers. Okay, you can build a container from scratch, which is basically what the Docker file is doing. You can build a container based on another container. There are other ways. I'm not going to explain all the ways, but this is one of them, which is how to build a container based on a very small base. And that base is called the UBI, the Universal Base Image. And the Universal Base Image allows you to build a very customizable or customized container with a small base image. So in this case, I'm building a container using a small base image of RHEL 9, and it's going to be a very simple and very basic Apache server. Okay, so here I'm going to pull the UBI image from the Red Hat official repository registry site. You can put here the full path for what is your base container image it's going to be. Here I'm pulling it from the registry website, but you can put here the full path of whatever container you want to use as the base image. In this case, I'm going to use the base image for the universal base image for RHEL 9. It can be RHEL 10, it can be Ubuntu. Just put there the full path, like docker.io/blah blah blah if you want to get your full image. In this case, I'm pulling it from the registry from the registry of Red Hat. If you're watching this on the short form, come and watch the long form. See you there. If you are still on the long form, which I hope you are, so you can put here the full path for the container you want to use. Here I'm using the UBI image, the universal base image for RHEL 9. Here you can put the full path for the universal base image that you want to use. In the exam, they're going to post here the full path for the image. So these type of details they tell you in the exam, and they tell you exactly where to pull things from, and that you are good to go. Here I'm pulling the universal base image from the registries, Red Hat registries, and then it's kind of your own prerogative. Here I'm using this example. Here I'm just saying that I am the maintainer. Usually you put here a username, an email, whatever the case. This is just metadata. A description for the oh, I forgot to change this. Let me do that now. So this is just another piece of metadata. This is just something to be some description. This doesn't have any immediate technical result. This is just something for you to use as a reference in the future about this container. Let me save this. Then this is the command I'm going to use. I'm going to use a command called that's going to install HDPD and then clean all. Here you can use a sequence of commands you would just prefer. In the exam, if they ask you guys to do this, just follow the instructions they tell you to follow. Here I'm going to install HDPD. I could start with an update, whatever. Just run the yum. And I'm using yum. I could use DNF. I mean, I typed yum just because, I mean, you know that DNF and yum at this point in time both work. So I'm using yum. Use DNF if you prefer. You are good to go. Then I'm going to create a custom index file. So this is going to have a very simple, very basic index HTML. Just call from hello from Dockerfile. Again, they're going to tell you what to do here. they're going to tell you what to type there. You're good to go. We're going to expose port 80 just because it's a web server, and that's the default port for the Apache web server. And the entry point, it's what we're going to execute last when booting the container. So basically, this container is going to spawn a simple HTTP server, and this is a very common use case and very common entry point to use for creating a new container based on a Docker file. So as just a quick review, the image, some metadata, what to do, which is install the HTTP server, and it's going to create a simple HTML file. It's going to expose port 80, and it's going to start the HTTPD server. So this is an example. If I run across any more specific examples for the EX200, I will post a new video of that as soon as I find that. But this is a good thing to expect on an exam topic. Now we need to build. Okay, so here I'm going to build my image here. Okay. Layers false, this is optional. This is just going to make the container image a little bit more compact, smaller. And I'm going to create the tag on the localhost. It's going to call Dockerfile test. Call it whatever you want to call it, or call it the thing they want you to call it. And dot, it's kind of use the contents of the current directory, and the current directory is a Docker file. And if you're using a Docker file, I recommend you to use a capital D. So capital D will just save you some troubles. Sometimes I forget to put the capital D and use a smaller case D, and things fall apart. So just put the uppercase D and you should be good to go. It doesn't have to be called Dockerfile, but I like to use Dockerfile, the Dockerfile as the name, because I've done always like this. So I just keep it as an habit. So this is going to pull the image, like I said, on my configuration in this specific machine. I'm using the registers for Red Hat, so it's going to pull that from there automatically, which is fine. And if you want on the Docker file to put the full path like this on the base image, you are also good. So this is now installing what I asked him to install, and it's just doing the yum install stuff. And there we go. So basically going back here you can put the full path for the image if you want, it's fine. And you are good to go. So this did the yums and the cleans. And now if I do a Podman images, there we go. You have here the UBI that we just pulled, and our own custom Dockerfile test that we just built. Okay, so that's fine. So if you go back here, so this reflects this, and this reflects that we used this UBI9 as the base image. So now we have a custom container that is going to execute a simple web server when it spawns. So now I just need to run. Okay, so Podman run. I'm going to give it a name. It's going to be on the background, and it's going to forward port 8080 to port 80 of the Docker, and it's going to use the image we just built. So we just run it. And you just Podman PS. It's running. So in theory, if I curl my localhost, port 8080, you see the hello from Dockerfile, which means that this container is running fine. And why does it say hello from Dockerfile? Because that's one thing we did here. We just ran the echo to the index, and the index is the default one that actual Podman runs. Very simple example on how to create a Docker file, but this is a possible situation or a possible task they may include, especially on the RHEL 9, but with no surprises if they include on the RHEL 10 version. This is also reality. So if you come across this task on the EX200 whatever version, now you know how to sort it out, and you have those extra points to help you go through with the certification. Like, subscribe, and comment as usual. It really helps. And now you have a new option called hype or something. So I think it's hype. So like, subscribe, comment, and hype. It really helps. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Cheers.